What I'm about to tell you about Renée Zellweger was never meant to be public. The transformation that shocked the world, that made headlines across every tabloid in America, that had people questioning everything they thought they knew about the beloved Bridget Jones star. The real story is so much more devastating than anyone has ever reported. Insiders close to Renée Zellweger have leaked the devastating truth behind her dramatic appearance change that tabloids have been speculating about for years. And it's nothing like what the magazines want you to believe. Between you and me, Hollywood's best-kept secrets are often hidden behind carefully crafted PR statements. And what you're about to learn today will forever change how you see the entertainment industry. My industry sources, who have worked closely with Renée for over 2 decades, have finally broken their silence. They've risked their entire careers to expose what really happened to the actress, whose transformation became the most scrutinized makeover in Hollywood history. And trust me when I say, the truth is far more shocking than any plastic surgery rumor you've heard. But before I reveal what actually happened, we need to go back. Way back. To understand the full scope of this Hollywood scandal, you need to know where it all began. The year was 1996. A fresh-faced Texan actress had just stolen America's heart with that now iconic line in Jerry Maguire, "You had me at hello." Renée Zellweger wasn't just another actress. She was authentic in an industry built on fakery. With her distinctive eyes, round cheeks, and that unmistakable girl-next-door charm, she represented something rare in Hollywood: relatability. What the tabloids don't know is that even then, in those early days of fame, the pressure was already mounting. A high-level executive at a major studio, whose name I legally cannot mention, had already pulled Renée aside after a screen test. "You're talented," he told her, "but those cheeks, those eyes, they're too distinctive, too ethnic, too much." This conversation, confirmed by 3 separate sources close to the actress, was the first seed planted in what would become a decades-long battle with her own image. Throughout the late 90s and early 2000s, Renée became one of Hollywood's most bankable stars. Bridget Jones's diary catapulted her into a new stratosphere of fame, ironically celebrating her for gaining weight and embracing imperfection. The public loved her for it. The industry did not. My source, who worked directly on the Bridget Jones set, revealed something that has never been reported before. After the first film wrapped, they told me, Renée was called into a meeting with producers. They showed her digitally altered images of what she could look like if she made certain adjustments to her face. They presented it as concern for her longevity in the industry, but that's nothing compared to what happened next. By 2005, after her Oscar win for Cold Mountain, the pressure had intensified to unimaginable levels. An industry insider who was present at an A-list party that year overheard a conversation that would chill any actress to the bone. I was standing near Renée when a top plastic surgeon, who had worked on half the faces in that room, approached her with his business card, my source confided. He told her, and I quote, "When you're ready to fix those eyes, I can make sure you work for another decade." The psychological toll this took was devastating. Between 2005 and 2010, Renée filmed only a handful of movies. What the public didn't know was that she was secretly battling a profound identity crisis. Another source who worked as part of her styling team during this period revealed something heartbreaking. She would stare at her face in the mirror for hours, pointing out what she called the problems. Sometimes she'd cry, asking why people couldn't just let her look like herself. They don't want this getting out, but during this same period, Renée was actually blacklisted from certain projects because directors claimed her look was too distracting. Yes, you heard that correctly. The very features that made her unique, that audiences adored, were being used against her by industry power brokers who wanted a more conventional beauty standard. And then, she disappeared. From 2010 to 2014, Renée Zellweger virtually vanished from Hollywood. The official story was that she wanted a break, needed time to recharge. But my sources tell a completely different story, one that involves a series of closed-door meetings with top studio executives who presented her with an ultimatum that would shake anyone to their core. It was made very clear to her, my industry source revealed, that her options were limited. The roles were drying up not because of her talent, which everyone acknowledged was exceptional, but because of her marketability. And in Hollywood, marketability is code for how well you fit the ever-narrowing definition of beauty. During this hiatus, something even more disturbing was happening behind the scenes. A high-profile talent agent who has requested complete anonymity shared with me that Renée was actually shown a digital simulation of her career trajectory with and without facial modifications. This presentation included projected earnings, potential roles, and even mock-ups of movie posters, all designed to convince her that her natural face was holding her back. But here's where the story takes an even darker turn. When Renée reappeared at the Elle Women in Hollywood Awards in 2014, the internet exploded. She looked noticeably different. The distinctive eyes that had become her trademark appeared wider, her cheeks less full. The media frenzy was immediate and brutal. What happened to Renée Zellweger's face became the question on everyone's lips. The truth finally exposed is that what we witnessed wasn't simply a woman choosing to alter her appearance. According to multiple sources who were in Renée's inner circle during this transformative period, she had been systematically worn down by an industry that had been telling her for 20 years that her natural face wasn't good enough. The decision, my source revealed with a heavy sigh, wasn't made in a vacuum. You have to understand the psychological warfare that had been waged against her self-image for decades. Every audition she didn't get, every role that went to someone else, it was always implied that it was because of her looks, never her talent. Another bombshell that has never been reported until now. During the height of the media frenzy about her changed appearance, Renée received a handwritten note from one of the very executives who had pressured her to change. The contents of this note, described to me by someone who actually saw it, simply read, "Was it worth it? The cruelty of this industry knows no bounds." But perhaps the most shocking revelation of all comes from someone who worked directly with Renée during her return to the Bridget Jones franchise for Bridget Jones's Baby in 2016. What they shared with me is nothing short of heartbreaking. During filming, after a particularly emotional scene, Renée broke down on set. Not because of the demands of the role, but because a crew member had innocently commented that they missed her old face. In that moment of vulnerability, surrounded by people she trusted, Renée allegedly confessed something that has been kept secret until now. "I didn't want any of this," she reportedly said through tears. "I just wanted to keep working. They told me I wouldn't have a career past 40 if I didn't do something. They showed me actresses who disappeared because they didn't maintain themselves. What choice did I have? What choice indeed?" In an industry where women are discarded as they age, where unique features are seen as flaws to be corrected rather than assets to be celebrated, what choice do even the most talented actresses have? The aftermath of her transformation was perhaps even more cruel than the pressure that led to it. After yielding to the relentless demands of Hollywood beauty standards, Renée then faced worldwide ridicule for doing exactly what the industry had pressured her to do. The very executives who had suggested she change her appearance were now privately mocking her for looking unnatural. They were setting her up to fail either way. Keep her natural look and watch her career opportunities dwindle or change and become the subject of worldwide derision. It was a no-win situation, engineered by an industry that profits from women's insecurities. But here's something even the most dedicated Renée fans don't know. In the years following her reappearance and the subsequent media frenzy, Renée has been quietly documenting everything. According to one of my most reliable sources, she has been keeping a detailed journal of every conversation, every implied threat to her career, every suggestion that her natural face wasn't good enough. Names, dates, exact quotes, all meticulously recorded. And that journal could bring down some of the biggest names in Hollywood. She never intended to release it, my source confided. It was more for her own sanity, to remind herself that she wasn't crazy, that these things were really said to her. But as the Me Too movement gained momentum and exposed other types of abuse in the industry, she started to reconsider. The truth is, what happened to Renée Zellweger is just one example of a systemic problem that has been plaguing Hollywood for decades. The psychological abuse inflicted on women in the entertainment industry goes far beyond casting couches and inappropriate comments. It's a slow, insidious erosion of self-worth that convinces talented, beautiful women that they are somehow deficient. Another industry insider who has worked with numerous A-list actresses shared something equally disturbing with me. Apparently, there are actual longevity consultations that management teams set up for actresses as they approach their mid-30s. These meetings include plastic surgeons, nutritionists, fitness trainers, and even digital imaging specialists who show these women how they're deteriorating and what they need to fix to remain viable in the industry. Renée wasn't the exception, this source told me. She was the rule. The only difference is that her transformation became public in a way that most actresses manage to avoid by making smaller, more gradual changes over time. But what about Renée today? How has she coped with becoming the poster child for Hollywood's impossible beauty standards? According to those closest to her, the experience nearly broke her. After the media storm surrounding her appearance in 2014, she seriously considered leaving the industry altogether. What kept her going, ironically, was returning to the role that had first made her a target, Bridget Jones. Playing Bridget again was healing for her, revealed a source who worked on Bridget Jones's Baby. It was like coming full circle. Here was a character celebrated for her imperfections, played by an actress who had been crucified for hers. The irony wasn't lost on anyone, least of all Renée. But perhaps the most powerful revelation comes from someone who spoke with Renée just last year, as she was preparing for her role as Judy Garland in the biopic Judy, a performance that would win her a second Academy Award. She told me she had made peace with everything, this source revealed. Not because what happened to her was okay, it absolutely wasn't, but because she had finally realized that no matter what she did to her face, no matter how she tried to conform to their standards, her talent was always what carried her through. And talent, real talent, transcends appearance. This realization apparently led to another decision that has been kept strictly under wraps until now. According to multiple sources, Renée has been quietly working with a select group of young actresses, warning them about the pressure they'll face and giving them the tools to resist it. This informal mentorship program has no name, no official structure, but it represents something revolutionary in an industry built on tearing women down. She tells them all the same thing, one source close to this initiative shared. Your face is not a mistake. Your body is not a problem to solve. Your talent is what matters, and anyone who tells you differently is trying to control you, not help you. The Hollywood machine is said to be terrified of this quiet rebellion. Because if actresses start refusing to bow to these pressures en masse, if they start exposing the psychological manipulation that goes on behind closed doors, the entire system could collapse. Which brings us to the most explosive revelation of all. Renée Zellweger is reportedly preparing to break her silence completely. Not in a magazine interview carefully managed by publicists. Not in a talk show appearance with pre-approved questions. But in a documentary that she has been secretly filming for the past 3 years. This documentary, which has been described to me as unflinchingly honest, allegedly includes testimony from dozens of actresses, all sharing similar stories of being pressured to alter their appearances. It names names. It includes recordings. And it is said to be the industry's worst nightmare. She has nothing to lose at this point, my source explained. She's already lived through the worst of it. The ridicule, the judgment, the endless speculation. What more can they do to her? She's reclaiming her narrative, and in doing so, hoping to change things for the next generation. The documentary reportedly includes before and after photos of numerous A-list actresses, alongside the exact conversations that led to these changes, conversations that were never meant to be made public. It exposes the network of surgeons, dermatologists, and aesthetic specialists who work with studios to maintain their female stars, often beginning the process when these women are barely in their 20s. What she's about to release will change Hollywood forever, my source insisted. This isn't just about plastic surgery or Botox or fillers. It's about control. It's about an industry that convinces women they're flawed, then profits from their insecurities, then mocks them for trying to conform. It's about breaking that cycle once and for all. Now that you know the truth, here's what happens next. The documentary, which is being kept under such tight security that even its title remains unknown, is reportedly set for release sometime next year. Multiple streaming platforms are said to be in a bidding war for the rights, with figures rumored to be in the tens of millions. Not because of the potential profit, but because of the power in controlling whether this information gets out. Some platforms want to release it. Others want to bury it. The battle lines have been drawn, and the outcome will determine whether Hollywood continues its toxic practices or is forced to change. As for Renée herself, those close to her say she's finally found peace. Not because she's given up the fight, but because she's chosen to fight on her own terms. The transformation that made her the subject of countless cruel headlines was never what she wanted. It was what an unforgiving industry demanded of her. And now she's demanding accountability in return. The most powerful thing she ever said to me, my source concluded, was that she doesn't regret what happened. Not because it was right, but because it gave her the perspective and the platform to help others. Sometimes, she told me, you have to become the cautionary tale to prevent others from suffering the same fate. The truth about Renée Zellweger's transformation isn't just about one actress's changing appearance. It's about an entire system designed to break women down and rebuild them according to impossible standards. It's about the psychological warfare waged against even the most successful women in the entertainment industry. And most importantly, it's about what happens when one of those women decides she's had enough. The question now isn't what happened to Renée Zellweger's face. The question is, what will happen to Hollywood when she reveals everything she knows? Will the industry's biggest power players be exposed? Will this secret documentary ever see the light of day, or will it be silenced like so many women before it? And perhaps most importantly, are you ready to see the entertainment world as it really is, not as they want you to see it? Subscribe now, because when this story breaks, and trust me, it will break, you'll want to be the first to know. The Hollywood you thought you knew is about to change forever, and this channel will bring you every shocking detail as it emerges. Some secrets are too big to stay buried. Some truths demand to be told. And Renée Zellweger's story is just the beginning. Estimated duration, 11.2 minutes.